Hello everyone. We start this episode with a quest from Hosto Cafo, the traitor of our region, to get an exogerm vial to get some pretty powerful genetic modifications in exchange for babysitting their favorite pet chlamydia machine. Look it up, all koalas have chlamydia, for 22 days. You know an episode's going to be a wild ride when we start with that. Welcome to the Dwarven Exiles on the Rim! This is episode 2. And well, it's going to be the kind of episode where we babysit a helpless animal for 22 days with no threat from the quest for a powerful genetic item and a title. I feel like there isn't a catch here, but there should be. Anyway, welcome little mole to our barrack for the next half a year. Remember, years in RimWorld are 60 days. This koala's gonna be here for half a year. Let's hope we don't get too hungry this winter or your dinner. And yes, Stargazer is still recovering from being mauled by a spider. You'll notice I haven't renamed Octavius, and that's because footage for these things are recorded in batches of 2 and 3 episodes. What you're seeing is the amalgamation of 40 plus hours of footage. That hedgehog I went to tame in the previous episode and failed to tame, well, it's a coyote's dinner now. And we have an incoming raid. Oh boy. Little Mole's getting us started right off the bat. This is less than an hour after Mole arrived. Stargazer is not feeling happy. He's still missing his nose, his left ear, and his left thumb. Lori's been caught outside hunting an otter, so she's got to get back to base. And I've been caught outside also hunting. Shit. And they brought dogs. Wolfhounds, even. You know, early RimWorld raids are usually where you lose a colony. But you don't care at that point because you're not super hyper invested. I mean, for me, I've only been playing this colony at this point for about 6 hours. It's not that big an investment to start over again. It would be the 5th time, though. However, as you probably imagine what bears do to, well, dogs. Imagine what bears with giant owl beaks that are stronger than regular bears are going to do to these poor Great Danes that they have sicked on us in order to try to capture slaves. Listen here, you fucking shogunate. This is their second offense. The second time they've shown up. And they've knocked down one of my beloved owlbears by repeatedly stabbing it in the side. There will be no survivors of this raid. Not one. I'm going to tend my lovely owlbears because I still need a breeding pair to make more owlbears. So we will have shock troops. That's right. We're breeding owlbears for shock troops. If you want to name one, start throwing some owlbear names because they breed really fast, it turns out, despite laying eggs. And, yeah, that man burned to death. I'm having Lori finish killing everything here. We don't have a prison to put the survivors. We also don't have a real hospital to maybe rehabilitate the animals and make them ours. So our best bet is, yes, even the dogs, which go in the Book of Grudges. We put dogs in the Book of Grudges. They should know better. Have to be put out of their misery after the fight's over.
Every slight against us, page after page, etched in blood.
These bastards from the Viking Purple Seal Clan. I was wrong. They're not from the Shogunate. They're Vikings, which explains the wolfhounds and the sea axes, which are a form of short swords. Short sword. No survivors. I would normally tend the wounded animals and integrate them into my colony because they're already pre-trained combat animals, but, you know. Here we see we finally found out that huge ore vein. that was here when we first got into the old hold, and are going to re-wall our kitchen and workshop to be separate. The first actual constructed walls that aren't just smoothing over the stone and dirt in order to make a place to live. The first ones. It's nice seeing that we're starting to make this home. And these are actually going to be made of stone. I've decided that this is the only time we're going to replace that wall, because it's the first wall. We'll paint it eventually when we can start growing dye, because you have to grow a certain flower called tetricata in order to get dye. In the meantime, we also are starting to make iron armor. Basic mittens, gyves, and boots. Something to protect our hands and feet, our extremities, because they're probably the most common thing to get wounded or hit when we're fighting. And yeah, just a nice little wall put in. And the forge has been established. We put our ritual room in the forge because obviously we're dwarves. And down here in the deep, the forge is our ritual room. The game actually won't let me have forge stuff inside of a temple and it still count as a dignified temple, which annoys me. I wish there was a mod or someone who had made it where temples could have have to have certain workstations in them, because then I would totally have a weird forge with lava floor and everything as my temple. But we'll make do. We'll make do. This is just our temporary place to do our worshiping to Moradin. And this is also our we're now observing the creation of our first ever set of beer. If this batch of beer survives, we will, in fact, be as far as I've made it. The first batch of beer for round 2 made it, and then it's the witching hour. It's 3 a.m. Some Empire traders have shown back up again to ridicule and make fun of us because they still won't trade their actual trade goods with us. It keeps sending me Empire traders, but I don't have the rank to do a full trade with them, so I can only trade with the individual person, who usually only carries a few bits of food, maybe some of the material, and some medicine. But because this fungal ship has crashed, if I want to deal with this fungal ship in short order, this royal tribute collector is my best bet. Here to collect money for something they don't even provide. Maybe I should make them work for that royal tribute a little bit. The idea is simple. We will send Lori and Julie, Julie being our warrior paladin, that's why she has the shaved head, and Lori being our fire wizard, out here to antagonize the fungoids, to get them out of the crashed hunk of metal from the sky. There they come. Because the rot stink, if it gets in your lungs and you die, you become one of these zombie fungus zombies. And it can also permanently give you a condition called rot lung if you're in it too long. As you can imagine, every time you hit them, it causes them to emit corpse gas. So instead of us dealing with them, I'm just going to lead the zombies into the Empire guys and then send Julie around to go break the ship while they deal with the zombies. Yeah, earn that royal tribute, bitches. You showed up with heavy hauberks and actual armor and actual weapons instead of improvised maces and some pelt coats like we have to wear. Earn your royal tribute, bitches! But the point here is, yeah, we're going to make them earn it. And we're just going to go back inside. The ship's broken up. It's not my problem anymore. They can deal with the zombies and the rot stink and the corpse gas. And we will, of course, reap the rewards of steel and mithril. Yeah, it's renamed mithril, and the graphic gets changed about episode 3 or 4. Again, I record these in batches so that I have enough footage to make sure I have enough footage for an episode and have a good ending point for an episode. But also to make sure that things are still working properly. Sometimes a recording might end prematurely and I have to redo it because a mod breaks. But that happens. Anyway, they are going to deal with the zombies for us. And that's not our problem. And by they deal with the zombies for us, I mean... These zombies have some mighty impressive armor suits. Some blood-linked ancient astronaut suits. A man named Spider wishes to join the colony. We just had these fungoids at 3 a.m. A man named Spider wishes to join the colony. Remember how I said the koala has no issues? Well, don't get your hopes up about Spider. I've played a ton of RimWorld. I know what Spider's name means. We'll see if you can piece it together as we play, but for now, he's going to help us grow some crops. Probably haul some things. He's very artistic, which would be nice if we had an art bench. He's almost too good to be true, as far as his stats are concerned. Remember, this is also someone who's played 1,500 hours of RimWorld. I might be a little suspicious for good reason. You see, there's also a bunch of coal everywhere. You're probably wondering what the coal's for. Well, we've taken on another quest to deliver that coal. So we went and mined it out. I'm setting up fishing, but we don't actually have a fishing spot, and I don't know why I said that. I'm silly. But as you can, if I'll scroll over to it, eventually the forge has run its course, but now we need to get Spider some basic armor, a helmet, and figure out something for him to wear to keep the cold at bay. It's that kind of day. I'm gonna treat him like he's not suspicious, because my suspicion may be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time I've been suspicious of something in RimWorld that turned out to be completely ill-founded. But I do want to make sure that he gets his basic kit, a mace, a hammer for building, and a hatchet for working with crops. Make sure everything's being made out of iron. Get him kind of set up and settled in here as best I'm able. Just ignore the pile of corpses. He is a stoneborn. He is kind of old. He's starting to get frail, but it is what it is, you know. He's got some life ahead of him. I decided to remove the frail because it doesn't make any sense for him to be stoneborn and frail already. Don't judge me for that. It's just, we're not supposed to start getting old age problems until 100, and he already had one at 79. But as you can see, all that coal, we're supposed to deliver it in exchange for a magma blade. A magma blade is a weapon that can penetrate nearly any armor, and this one's of legendary quality. Honestly, it's a really extremely nice quest. I'm not going to bother hauling this coal in a few pieces at a time. Instead, I'm just going to put down a zone for it, mine out the rest of it, and that should give me enough to deliver the load of coal. Coal is only worth 80 cents per unit, and this magma blade's base value is 4,000. That should tell you the item I'm going to go get. Now I have to plan our route carefully to avoid the bandit camps, and I'm going to go get it personally by myself. I'm not going to bring anybody else. This is a one-person job, and if you keep the total value of your caravan to less than 5,000 loot on hand, you won't be raided. So I'm keeping the value of the caravan. You can see the coal chunks are only worth $1.10 each. I'm going to take a few extra small little things to sell, but for the most part, I'm just going to go by myself. Ride a rocks into town and drop all this coal off and then come home with a brand new Uber sword. And I say Uber sword lightly, but a magma blade can penetrate just about any armor. It can slice a actual tank. Like if you're playing with vanilla expanded vehicles, it can actually cut a tank in half. That's how much armor it penetrates. It slices straight through the tier 2 armored tank like it's nothing. So imagine a World War II Sherman and a guy walks up with a magic sword and goes, haha, I got this. And the Sherman loses. I also decided to make sure that I take the male rocks instead of one of the pregnant ones, so that in the event that something happens, we're not dealing with losing a pregnant rocks, like the rock suddenly decides it's having the baby right now, and I'm not in a position to deal with that. You know, as you do. Yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Now, I do send this caravan out, and I forget to send a bedroll or a tent to sleep in, and this is going to cause me some issues later. It's going to cause particularly some morale issues. But you notice Spider's over here taking his helmet off and dropping his old weapon outside the colony, not on a shelf or in a storage zone. Why is he doing that? What is he up to? We've got the barn, the initial barn built. I've already decided I'm going to move it later. But right now I need to get a hospital, a real hospital up and running, not just a place to do emergency surgery on the floor inside of my inside the landing where you first come into the keep. That would be nice. And we're going to go ahead and smooth out this floor. Now, these floors aren't just going to be smooth floors forever. We're actually going to put down stone. And then we're going to paint a bunch of the stone to make it even prettier. And to kind of designate the area you're in, it'll be painted different colors so you can figure out about where we are in the base eventually. Right now, let's focus on what we got. Lori is becoming a forge master. And then Spider starts having a massive heart attack. At the same time, we're bringing in a glider crash survivor to treat them. This is not going well. This person crashed on a glider, and because of our need for charity, we have to give it. I'm also in dev mode because one of my mods was bugging, and I was trying to figure out which one and fix it. Remember, I'm playing with 260 mods. That's insane. But most of them add one or two little things, or just give small quality of life buffs. And then there's the medieval overhauling stuff, and the magic world overhauling stuff, and the 70 fucking extra races from magical worlds like trolls and elves and dwarves and dragons, actual dragons. We're gonna have to deal with those. But anyway, so we're trying to heal whale, and one of the RimWorld AI things is if it's not designated a medical bed, people won't just stay in it. I need him to stay in it so I can get someone in here to treat his heart attack before it kills him. Now, the way heart attacks work is you have a bar that fills between 15 to 30% at a time, randomly, every 2 minutes. And you have to counter-treat the bar. You get a flat 25% treatment, which means the bar can just outrun you. Like that. That's a full 30% jump. If he gets another 30% jump, he's dead. We have failed 3 treatment tests in a row. We need to get something done. And there's a 4th, and we're running out of medicine. This is costing us all of our early medieval medicine to try to stop this heart attack. And it gives a little jump, and then, oh, thank God, we get an actual treatment off. Again, we're burning through. Julie's just going to burn through every bit of medicine we have to try to stop Spider from dying. That's her goal right now. Stop Spider from dying. She is one of our better healers. Not our best, but she manages to stop Spider from dying. And then, less than an hour later, Spider turns out to be a traitor. Told you he was acting sus. Spider is one of the names. Spider's name should have clued you in immediately that something's wrong. So Spider is one of the names from the traitor colonist list. And I've been playing RimWorld long enough to know that anyone who shows up named Spider or Scorpion, and there's about 100 names on that list, and I've seen 20 of them. Anyone who shows up with a name from that list is a traitor. The Shukshiro Shogunate, who were the first people to raid us, sent in a spy and immediately set fire to the barracks, most likely trying to assassinate the koala we're babysitting for no other reason than to make us look bad. Trying to get people to justify hating us because we murdered some noble's koala that was physically disabled and helpless. Fuck you! Add it to the grudge list! You ninja bastards, we're coming for you. That's just where we are now. I'm looking for some things to hunt. We need a little bit of extra meat just to kind of get by for the moment. But, yeah. Yeah. I knew he was going to betray us, but I didn't know who sent him. And the Shoshiro Shogunate, we're on to you. And you've been marked in the book. Mark it in the book. I arrive at site, deliver the coal, so I basically just exchanged 1,700 bucks, or 1,700 silver for a 4,000 silver item, and now I'm going to sell some of our extra stuff. There it is. There's the magma blade. You can see it's only they'll only buy it for 1/10 of the price they just gave it to me, but of its value. But you know what? I'm not selling it. It is a magnificent piece of kit, and my mood is going to drop into the oh shit mode. An EMI field for pay is a joke. We don't have any electronics. So, yeah, and we just ran out of medicine? I'm tempted to take look at the Serene Orb. The advanced components are worthless to us. That's not enough gold. But the medicine. 21 exalted medicine? 21 medicine in pristine condition from before the collapse? Oh, I'm in. I am in. I will take that EMI. You can bombard us with all those electromagnetic rays all you want. Stargazers out. There's the gliders arriving with our brand new medicine kit. Fortune be glad. Octavius is becoming our first frost mage. We're getting closer and closer to the time of Moradin's union, so we get our first Christmas, our first holiday tree set up. Now, remember, I'm not going to be renaming people for 3 to 5 episodes, so do leave a comment. Next episode, we'll rename Octavius. Will get the rename. I'll reveal who got the name. Leave a comment. You get in the colony. It's that simple. Whether you are just a random animal or a colonist, and you can give me. I really need animal names, like a lot of them. Owl bears reproduce at an incredibly exceptional pace. We're going to start expanding the workshop a little bit now, which is going to require us to dig back there and move stuff out temporarily. We need to get heating in the barrack while we're still using a barrack, and then food poisoning from mashed potatoes. So, yeah, I threw all those mashed potatoes out, and I realized we're getting close to winter. We really need, like, some sort of soup or stew or something to get us through the winter. So I went ahead and started getting us ready to figure out a way to get through that, because it's the 15th of the 3rd out of 4 months. Anyway, I get back and I hand the magma blade to our warrior paladin, Julie, who uses both her warrior powers, i.e. barbarian powers, and her paladin powers to test it out on a ground runner. It's a giant, genetically super engineered mole. This thing's insane. The DPS is massive, and it just completely eviscerates the poor creature. And yeah, but it turns out that these would be great for mining operations. if we weren't already fantastic miners. So knowing that, I go ahead and put the creature out of its misery. We'll use it for meat this winter and maybe somebody's jacket. We research lumber so we can start making timber instead of making things out of raw wood. I go for soup cooking, and I realize we're going to need even more food for this first winter. Some rare Thrumbos have shown up, and as much as I hate myself for this, I love Thrumbos. The idea of magical, gentle space unicorn is just, it's too good, but they cost so much to maintain and feed, and on top of that, their combat ability is limited. They're more giant tanks than they are frontline fighters. They kind of just sit there and take hits for you. Knowing that, we kind of sort of maybe need their fur and their meat. I hope that this isn't the last Thrumbo herd to pass through here, because I will take some Thrumbos. No questions asked. My online stream game, I started with Thrumbos. This is how tanky they are. I am sitting here wailing on one that's already down with a giant with a mace, and it's just not even hurting it. These things are wonderful wonderful massive creatures, and honestly, I keep saying honestly, heartfeltly, I would adopt a Thrumbo. I don't care how much of a nuisance around the house it would be. I would adopt a Thrumbo. But without the Magma Blade, that wouldn't have even been possible. Next up, the Thingy Dynasty. That's just their name. Their name is the Thingy Dynasty. Some of the names RimWorld. They show up. They have half kind of okay equipment in some cases, and in other cases they're horrifically under-equipped. Like, that lady's naked with a knife, but that dude's in full breastplate and conquistador helm with a crossbow. So I'm sitting over here and I'm like, they've shown up, and the Thingy Dynasty is taking our trees. And I think about it. And I see that Lori is not at full magical power. And I see that Julie's not at full magical power. And I see that we've still got many metal armor to make, so not happening. I also decided to try a conversion ritual on Octavius, despite the fact it probably won't work very well, especially with the forge still dirty from our food poisoning incident. Like, I am not expecting this to go well, but it's worth a shot. It's our first ritual. Who knows? It might go okay. But Thingy Dynasty, you're in the book now! With the Lufagi Neanderthals. Anyway, the conversion ritual goes pretty good. It actually does its job and nearly completely converts Octavius. One or two more talkings too, and Octavius will be with us on our runic ways. In the meantime, let's celebrate the holidays. We've made it to the end of our first year in this new hold somehow. And we should be thankful within the forge that has happened. And it's a fun festival. We give the best gifts we can, which are mostly just things that we could carve on the spot. And then Lori goes back to folding papers. But apparently some god was angry at us about that, because later that night, a bunch of deer decide that they want dwarf flesh for dinner. Now, as we went over with the dogs, bear eat deer. Owl bears are bigger, angrier bears with sharp beaks instead of maws. How do you think this is going to go? Like, in all honesty, you see the big... You see Stepson, Debutante, and Petra right here. They're ready to go. And we also now have an ice wizard. That first deer just gets slashed through the throat after getting hit with a bolt of ice. And, yeah. And then I chain lightning this one to stun it before we swarm it with the owl bears. Bambi, you're for dinner. But if you want some of Bambi for dinner, hit the like button right now. Make sure this video has 20 likes, as well as comment what your favorite RimWorld moment is, even if It's not from one of my videos. If it's from someone else's video, if it's from your own game, let me know what your favorite moment is. Like, it doesn't have to be really wordy unless you want to make it really wordy. But, just, you know, let me know if it's your own personal moment or something else. To kind of honor the Thrumbo, by the way, one of them we don't turn into pelt for clothing. We turn it into a rug. Less as a trophy and more as a statement that without this creature, we would not survive to the winter. I even have Lori blow some psychic power to enhance the rug, so it's better than normal quality, because rugs automatically come out at normal quality. So we're going to blow some psychic power to bring it up to good, and make sure that generations future will see this rug and know that this creature helped us through our first winter. In the meantime, I get to level up my psychic powers, and I am going to go ahead and take that leap. I mean, I've got I'm a bard. I cast electricity. Let's get a little more barding going, so if people are having a falling out or having an argument and they're lovers, I can make them fall back in love with each other. Or if, you know, this is just my shut up and kiss already power when you guys decide that someone needs to be shipped. Anyway, we've started replacing the outer wall. We're getting the Thrumbo rug put into the barracks. It'll eventually go into someone's bedroom when we start making individual bedrooms. That's right, we're not sitting here with a barracks. We're going to go to individual bedrooms. We're going to make them nice. Our goal is Dwarven wealth and prosperity. That means that we're only sparing expense right now because we have to. As soon as we don't have to, we're going for opulence. And we will go for opulence. But in the meantime, we're replacing that outer... So first, we fix the wooden wall. Then we put down some basic limestone bricks. Now we're coming back and replacing it with hardened castle walls. Something that can really take a hit or two as we prepare for winter. Because once winter starts, we're basically locking ourselves in the hold. We'll come out to do recreation and arch and exercise and stuff, but for the most part, we're just gonna lock ourselves in the dwarven hold for the winter. With no crops to tend and our animals already in here, why should we go outside? Just that simple. But we are also going to start putting in chairs in the workshop. You notice the workshop's now expanded. We've got an artwork table, which we're not going to use yet, but we've got it there for when it's time. We've got a lumber table. We've got both kinds of stone tables. We've got some secondary support stuff. We've got storage areas. We've got the forge set up. We're setting up a mining alcove to come in and mine salt and coal when we need it. We're just... It's starting to come together. It's starting to feel alive. It's starting to have investment where if I were to lose this colony now, I might feel a little upset and discouraged. I wouldn't stop trying to get this playthrough to work, but I might have to take a break to kind of center myself and figure out what went wrong. We also are running a little low on the beer and ale component of this colony, despite the fact we've gotten our first beer harvest. And our colonists decide to have a party with the very first 25 beers we've ever made sitting right there in the middle of the party as the center of the party, while Stargazer and Lori decide right here in the kitchen, right now, to get married, and Adagio goes, I'm gonna officiate. And that's just how it happens. Also, a little thing, Julie has stolen Adagio from me. I'm not upset. Look. He decided she was the better woman. I should let them be happy. So, to show I'm going to let them be happy, I'm going to go ahead and give them a bed where they can cuddle in the barracks with right now. and just let it go. Let it go. This is one time where I'm not going to write a grudge about this. But also, I'm adding these beds to put me on a personal timer, because it won't be long before babies will arrive now. And with that in mind, I have to keep expanding the colony and getting ready for those babies, or we're going to be in trouble. I also really need colonist names, because I'm going to be honest, there's a bug in RimWorld where if you don't name a baby, they sometimes just randomly disappear. And that has caused me to lose hours of progress to go back and figure out when the baby disappeared and then start from before that happened and start over. Yeah. So Maple joins us and is being pursued by a bunch of impids, but I accepted them to the colony to join us at the same time that another royal tribute collector showed up. Couldn't have timed this better for those impids. Because, just like with the fungus people, those impids aren't my problem. No, sir. Those impids are everyone's problem. Maple is also a plant person who's kinda sorta sucks at combat. So, being a child of the Garland tree, she's able to summon dryads. In this case, combat dryads. I decided to name them Yugi and Yu-Gi-Oh! After one of the early jokes from Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. God, that's a 20-year-old joke now. I feel weird. But I did it. And I tell them to get inside, because what's going to happen is that royal tribute collector... There's all the wood that the Thingy dynasty decided they didn't need and left behind because they couldn't carry it. They chopped more wood than they could carry. Assholes. We liked those trees. They were nice. Anyway, Maple is also an awakened psychic. Again, in dev mode to fix a thing. I can't emphasize that enough. So, every time I have to enter dev mode to fix a mod, something happens. And I'm stuck in dev mode, and it looks embarrassing. But I'm not gonna like hide it from you guys and say like I wasn't in dev mode. No, I have 60 mods. This is the opening days. I gotta figure out what the load order is, and sometimes the load order is, oh shit. Anyway, the impids are attacking the Empire guys as planned. And the Empire guys start by having the one guy who was just being slow just gets absolutely swarmed and set on fire after he manages to hack some people open. But the thing here that I just wasn't prepared for, we get into combat formation in case that those fireballs actually do something. When one of the Empire guys, the guy riding the ancient slurrypede from before the collapse, you see him over there? The guy just slowly creeping up on the left-hand side of the screen when I zoom out? Yeah, he's got something that I was not prepared for today. Georoos is firing a Bren gun!
What the fuck was that? That was the Bren gun!
This man brought a fucking Bren. And that's just not fair. Occasionally, they will show up with ancient technology. He's riding a slurrypede, carrying a Bren gun, and he has a shield. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes the Empire still sneaks something through, even with all the medieval mods I've made. And that tells you that we're not, even when we max out our abilities, which don't include guns like that, we might still want to steal a gun or 7. They decide they're leaving because it's too cold outside. I mean, there's some fire you can go stand in for me. I'd appreciate that Bren gun. Our kin agreed to cast us out for people to give us scraps of technology they consider trinkets as gifts. Man, the mighty have fallen. The mighty have fallen. I do manage to catch their merchant, who still won't get me into their main their main selling point, but I will sell them our obsolete stuff, like that Thrumbo hide tribal wear that we made initially. And I'm gonna accept this. I'm gonna accept this quest for Carr. Carr sounds like an okay guy. He looks a little old, but he sounds like an okay guy. He sounds like a stand-up guy. And it gives us an excuse to get revenge on one of the shogunates who have been assholes to us. So, yeah, we're going to send out a caravan. And it's going to consist of just Julie. Look, I have a lot of confidence in Julie's ability because of that magma blade. And I think that confidence is justified. We're going to send Julie. We're going to send one of our rocks, because it's what we can spare. And we'll see what happens. We managed to continue the conversion of Octavius. They're down to 2.4%. So the next hit, we'll switch them over. Maple switches over to Runic Ways on the first. As soon as she got here, she was like, I will switch to your ways. And we're just making that journey. Now, Julie arrives 12 hours later. And then, remember how I said I was working on a bug? Here's that bug. The map failed to generate. So the quest auto fails because the map failed to generate. Yeah. So now you see why I have dev mode open. It's because I'm getting errors and I'm trying to fix the errors actively rather than ignore them. It's not... I've got them fixed now. The maps will generate properly now. So it's not a problem now. Thank you, Lori, for helping with that. But on that disappointing note, that's the end of the episode. We will get some satisfaction next episode. Thank these people from Patreon, by the way, for helping set everything up. And Lori, thank you for making the mod list work properly now. You're our ever-watchful armor smith, a hero to us all. More specifically, thank you Phoenix Lord, Adagio, Fobdoodle, Thomas Curry, John Breacher, David Beringer, and Tank Mom and Tank Dad for this episode. I'll start calling out a few specific names at the end of every episode. Make sure you hit the like button. Leave a comment. And if you want to make it where I can make more of these videos more often, join the Patreon. I'll see you all on stream today. There's a different RimWorld game for stream because you guys can interfere with it. In the meantime, good night, good morning, good... You know what? Whatever time of day it is, it's that kind of night. See you all later. See you next episode in 2 days.